stood next to your dad for the entire gig. I usually would watch from like side of stage, but I was like in the crowd next to your dad, arm around him, singing loud, speak to your mates. And so I got maybe like 6 or 7 mates together, and they all faced, and we must have been bowling for like 3 or 4 hours, your dad. Grief is someone described it to me as it's a book on a bookshelf that you can go and take off the bookshelf whenever you want, and the bookshelf will eventually fill with other books, but it is always there. And it's always there for you to kind of like go into. It's never something you should bury. Shane, what the fuck you doing, mate? We're meant to be doing blackjack. And he was like, no, mate, I'm deep into roulette. And he'd lost quite a bit. So he put a big amount on 17 and it hit 23.
Oh, no. Oh, no. All right, ready?
Ready.
On today's episode of the Warne's Way podcast, I'm joined by a man who needs absolutely no introduction whatsoever. It's the man himself, Mr. Ed Sheeran. Thank you for joining me.
How you doing?
I'm going good, thank you. How are you?
Good, yeah. Thanks for having me on the pod.
That's okay, thank you. It has been really nice talking to a lot of Dad's friends and hearing from their perspective, the relationship with him. And yeah, I've tried not to make it just all about sportsmen, but yeah, I feel like the relationship you had with him is so unique because he had so many positive things to always say about you.
Yeah, and I don't think our relationship was sporty at all. I mean, there was an odd occasion where we would meet. He'd have me come down. Where we were in like Manchester. I went down and hung out with him at the cricket, but that was more because he was in Manchester. It was less that the cricket was there.
Yeah.
So our relationship wasn't really based around sport. It's mostly based around music. We went to a lot of gigs together, and had. Whenever he was in London, we hung out, and obviously whenever I was here, we hung out. But yeah.
It's so cool because, and I just want to give some context as well for where we are because I find this really special. It's obviously sad, but in a special kind of way. It is Michael Gudinski's 5-year anniversary today. He was a very close friend of yours and a mentor of yours as well. But back in 2011, when you were 21 years old, were you in the very place where you actually performed your first ever gig in front of roughly 60 people, and it was the night you first met Michael, wasn't it?
I remember meeting him literally by this door. Yeah, I was, it was like my first ever musical trip to Australia. I'd done a gig outside the Opera House and I played in someone's living room. And then when I came to Melbourne, I didn't even know that Michael was coming. And my manager, Stuart, his first job was for Michael. So he was like, my old boss is coming down. But I didn't put 2 and 2 together. Yeah. And then when I met him at the back of the room, he was like, I want to represent you here. And I was, I was like 20 at the time and just sort of like, cool, fine. Yeah. I didn't really know what it meant. And as I got to know him, you obviously understand the history and sort of gravitas that him and Mushroom and Frontier and everything holds within Melbourne and Australia and worldwide. And yeah, we became like super close. Actually, like with your dad as well. Like we would usually hang out if we were in Melbourne. It would always be with your dad as well, and we would go, whether it's for dinner or we go and play poker or fucking wherever. But yeah.
Well, that's what I want to mention a bit later on because there was a lot of stories with you guys at Crown because you guys do love a cheeky punt here and there on the blackjack. And
my favourite one was when you were there. Yes, and it was Michael had passed away. And I'd flown in with my family for Michael's memorial, and we did the quarantine for like 2 weeks, and then got out of quarantine, got to Melbourne, and all of Michael's mates were like, we're gonna go and do a blackjack game, very low stakes. We're not gonna gamble big. We're gonna drink Michael's favorite wine. We're gonna share stories about Michael. And I remember your dad was coming, and I sat down and I was next to all of Michael's friends, and they were all like, kind of old dudes. And I'm like, where the fuck's Shane? And he was in the opposite room with you playing roulette. And I remember I went in and I was like, Shane, what the fuck you doing, mate? We're meant to be doing blackjack. And he was like, no, mate, I'm deep into roulette. And he'd lost quite a bit, and he was always putting on 23. And I kept like going in and checking in on him, and I was like, Shane, look, my lucky number's 17. Put it on 17 and let's see if it hits. So he put a big amount on 17 and it hit 23.
Oh no. Oh no, it's such a good story.
Fucking great.
It's such a good story because
I was like, oh yeah, fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, see you later.
Because you actually never want to be on the wrong side of Dad, especially when it comes to gambling and roulette, because he is convinced that the spinner spinning it can actually get it to roughly your number.
Yeah.
And so when it wouldn't be 23, he would just start abusing the person doing it, being like, mate, I know you can get it on 23. I'll give you a nice tip. Just give me 23. But some context behind that story as well. I do remember that night. It was about a week after Michael's state memorial, and yeah, you guys had told Dad, come up, let's have a cheeky punt. And I remember we were running a little bit late. So you guys are doing really well playing blackjack, and Dad's like, all right, let me just quickly go to the cage. I'll get some cash. And when we came back over, you're all having a lot of fun. So Dad's like, all right, I don't want to interrupt your flow. I'll go play some roulette. And like, yeah, he had lost it in about 3 spins and was like, oh, I can't go back out there now. I've lost everything. I've got nothing
I just remember
to
this
with.
vision because the blackjack table was here and then there was a door and then opposite was the roulette. And I just remember this vision of him just looking like this.
Yeah.
I'm like, you needed to come and play blackjack really, but yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever have any big wins on a perfect pairs with him? Or with
Yeah.
Michael?
I wouldn't say he was the luckiest bloke in the world. Yeah. There was a lot of like, remember the first time ever gambling with him and I'm just like, I don't know if this is for you, mate. Like,
yeah. Yeah, he was convinced that he used all of his luck on the cricket pitch because he said there was so many times where he got a lucky bounce or the batsman pulled the wrong shot. So he was convinced that he let out all of the luck there. And then we've also got a friend in the room, Tunners, who've played poker with as well, and you've played with him. He would always get the worst bad beats. So he'd always be the most unluckiest gambler of all time.
It was noticed.
Yeah.
There was definitely a thing of like Shane's not very lucky on the the tables.
I know.
Yeah, I never. Do you know what? I never ever gambled ever. The first time I ever gambled was with Shane and Michael, and I haven't really since.
Really?
Like I don't really. For me, it's not fun anymore. It was only fun with those guys. It's because your dad was so animated and Michael was so animated that like even if they lost, it was still quite fun and funny. But yeah, I haven't really done it since. I don't really like. Doesn't seem fun anymore, you know?
Well, I can actually relate to that a little bit because me and Dad always used to go to the mahogany room and he'd organise a card for me to get access and it would be like one card under his just so I could go in whenever I want. And then after he had passed, maybe 3 weeks after, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go to Crown, something me and Dad used to do together. Yeah. Let's see what could happen. Might get a 23. At least I can try and remember him. And I got there and when I showed them my card, even though it had expired in September and we're only in March, they said, oh, unfortunately, Mr. Warne, your card's no longer valid. I quickly connected the dots and I said, you know what, don't worry. So I looked at that as a sign of Dad saying, Jacko, no need to gamble, save your money, mate. It was something we did together.
Also, like the way that I look at it is like I've had the good memories. I don't want to spoil them now. Trying to make it the same because like it will never be the same. You know. Yeah. I think that is a sign. I think it's good to read it that way as well.
Well, I always look for signs because, like, if you told me Dad was about to walk through that door, like, even though I know he isn't, I would still believe he is. Like, that's still how much I feel his presence. And I still see signs everywhere because, for example, your most recent show, Thursday, Friday and Saturday, and guess what suite number we're in?
23.
We're in suite 23. So unless you've organised that or someone's done it.
There probably was there probably was something there.
But I look at that as a sign of Dad being there with us, you know, in spirit, because there's just be no way he'd want to miss out on seeing you performing with all of his friends and family.
Yeah, it's weird coming back to Melbourne now.
How do you find after the State Memorial when you performed? Because that was one of the most special performances and celebrations of life I've ever seen. And obviously Dad was the year after that. But seeing with you and Kylie and Jimmy Barnes, just your heart and soul you left out there to honour Michael, I thought was so special.
It was special, man. Yeah, it was all a bit of a whirlwind because it was a really mad time in the world anyway because of COVID. And I just had a kid and we flew over here. Lyra was like 5 months old and it was all pretty full on. But yeah, it was a really beautiful day, a bit of a mad trip. Yeah, I just like everywhere I went was 707 wine. We got to the place we were quarantining and Matt Gudinski had bought us 24 bottles of this wine. And so we were like, we've got to drink it. And by the time that we'd finished the quarantine, I was like, I think I'm over it for a bit. And then we got to the next place and there's more there. And then we get to the funeral and there's like more there. And then I said to my wife, I was like, I don't think I can drink Penfold 707 for like a very, very, very long time. And I was meeting up we were going for dinner with Russell Crowe, and I was like, good. He's a beer man. We'll get on the Guinnesses and blah, blah, blah. And I got into the car with him, and he was like, mate, I've got something special for tonight. I've got this double Magnum of 707. I was like, fuck's sake.
That is such a good story.
Mate, he was great. One of my last memories with your dad, and I really cherish it, was we went to go and see Coldplay together at the Shepherd's Bush Empire. And we got like, I don't really go to gigs. I know that's weird because I do gigs, but I guess it's like, I don't know, when I'm home, I just want to be home. But your dad was like, Coldplay are playing tonight. I went up and sung Fix You with Chris as well that night. And your dad came round before to my house, and we had sort of like pre-drinks and hang. And then we walked there because it was just around the corner from my gaff. And I stood next to your dad for the entire gig. I usually would watch from like side of stage, but I was like in the crowd next to your dad, arm around him, singing loud. And it was like COVID lockdown was sort of ending. And it was the first time, people had been at gigs. It was also seeing Coldplay in like a tiny venue. But I like really cherished that, like, that was my last proper memory with him, was that. It's a really like lovely one. Yeah,
it's just the way, it's nice to really look back and have that really positive lasting memory, because I know me, Brooke and Summer and Kaya just recently were at Chris's shows last year. Guess how many shows we went to in a row?
23.
No, I went to 9 of them. Brooke and Summer and Kaya went to all 10 of their shows, all at Wembley. But it was unique because every single show had a different experience. You had a different feeling. And even though it's the same songs and a little bit different, that energy that you and Chris bring to the stage, is just like, you just miss it. Like, as soon as it's finished, you're like, no, I want to keep it going.
Thanks, man. I love Chris. Is even though he's technically a peer now, I see him as like a mentor figure. He's like Coldplay have always been one of my favorite bands, and he's always like, for me, he's the benchmark of like live music, the way that like album campaigns are run and blah, blah. I really, really look up to Chris. I think he's a really kind guy, but he's a really like smart musician, and you can learn a lot from him. I love seeing where they take themselves.
Yeah. Did you ever catch up, you, Chris, and Dad?
No, actually. No, Chris isn't really... I reckon Chris and your dad had a different relationship to the relationship I had with your dad, because Chris doesn't really drink or party. And I would always like... I'd be in London, and your dad we'd go out for dinner, we'd have a load of beers, and we'd end up... So, it was like a different thing. I reckon Chris and your dad's relationship was a bit more calm.
Yeah, and he's... I think you're right. And he's also based in LA, where Dad didn't usually go out as much.
Yeah.
But no,
so he'd probably have a chilled one and just relax.
I think so. I do think that's the case. One thing I love that Dad did is, it was your dad's John's dream to face an over from Dad. Yeah. And Dad said, I'll do you one better, and I'll organise a net session at Lord's.
That wasn't the only time your dad did it, by the way. He did that for my dad, and my dad batted against him. I loved I could go up to your dad and just be like, don't go easy. Give him a proper way. He
could still do it.
I know he's a professional bowler, but it was like, I thought spin bowlers were like slow. It was pretty hardcore. No, the other one was, we were in town, what was it for? It was the Cricket World Cup. And I have a bunch of mates that love cricket. And your dad was just like, I'll do it again. Just speak to your mates. And so I got maybe like 6 or 7 mates together, and they all faced, and he must have been bowling for like 3 or 4 hours, your dad. He was like really like going for it. I think he fucked his shoulder up though, but but my mates still, like, that's like the greatest story they have in their arsenal.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he's a really like, I mean, you know yourself, I mean, you are around him more than anyone, but he's such a like kind, genuine, generous guy. And in an industry like within show business, there's such a rarity to find people like your dad who are, there was no scumbag in him. Like he was never rude. He would like, I remember whenever he came to my gig, he would introduce himself to like every single person in catering and kind of like disarm people. Because sometimes when someone with as much sort of like, I don't know, aura as your dad comes in, people can be like they don't want to disturb him or blah blah blah, but he would be disarming to people by just going up and being like, "Hey, I'm Shane, nice to meet you," or like he would go out for a cigarette with some of the crew and then get to know them that way. Like he was always like such a sweet-hearted bloke to everyone, and it was very like noticed, because a lot of times people come to my gigs, they're always nice to me. There's sometimes like they'll be nice to the tour manager or nice to the people they need to be nice to, but you can see them not like engage with anyone else. Whereas your dad was like universally loved and respected by my tour crew.
Yeah, because it's something that I loved both about you and Dad, and it was how much you guys were always yourself 100% of the time. Doesn't matter who you're talking to or where you were, you're always yourself. And I think that's why so many people love you both, because it doesn't matter if the cameras are on or you get caught smoking or you're doing the wrong thing. You're not ashamed to show your personality.
Yeah, well, he was just himself, always,
He was always himself and always wanted to help people, because I know, and you might have a similar experience, Dad used to love when people would come up to him and go, "Oh, look, Shane, I just want to let you know you're the reason I bowl leg spin." And I saw you say in an interview as well, you want your legacy, or you want to become a symbol that if Ed can do it, I can do it.
Yeah. Your dad was defo the symbol for that. I loved that he wasn't really that interested in cricket to begin with. Like he was always like, he wanted to play St Kilda, didn't he?
Yeah, St Kilda AFL.
I love it.
Yeah, because he used to say that because it was his dream to play AFL and wanted to play for St Kilda, which I saw you went there last year as well and got a jersey. But it was with Dad and wanting to play for St Kilda. His dream to play AFL. He got a random letter on a random day just saying your services are no longer required, and he was heartbroken. That's when he went to England, started taking up cricket, put on nearly 20 kilos, came back and his mum and dad didn't recognise him. But from then, that's where that spark of wanting to bowl leg spin and wanting to get better actually, like,
was
that's
there
where it
ever
came from.
you know how Michael Jordan went to do baseball, like retired and did baseball and then went back? Was there ever a chat of him mid-career?
Playing a different sport?
At his peak going, do you know what, I'm going to go back to St Kilda. Was there ever a chat about that?
I don't think there was a chat about going back to St Kilda because he probably wasn't physically fit enough to play AFL. But I do remember in 2003 or 2002 when he got his injury, he was actually thinking, okay, maybe that's my time to hang up the boots. I'm happy with everything I left out on the table. I've broken all the records. Like, I'm really happy with my career and my legacy. I'm happy to retire. But he actually found that resting of having after that injury and coming back after a year, he actually played some of his best ever cricket. You know, he got to 700 wickets. It's just like his career as he got older actually got better. And when he did retire, he thought that was it, because me, Brooke and someone used to joke around and we'd say, "Oh, look, when you retire, can you stop smoking?" He'd say, "Yep, sure, whatever." But then when he finished playing cricket in 2007, he then played IPL for a few years. Then he played for the Melbourne Stars for a few years. And then after that, he started the cricket tour with Sachin Tendulkar called Cricket All-Stars. Yeah. So then he kept playing for nearly 10 years after he retired. But no, it would have been funny to see him at St Kilda, because you were there a few years ago, weren't you?
Yeah. When I'm here, it's kind of all encompassing. Everyone loves AFL. It's great. Yeah. When we did a tour of India last year. Your dad is really loved there. Really loved. Yeah. He's kind of like, almost,
They do really love it. And I was also there last year with Kaya in India. We went to a few Rajasthan Royals games, and just to see how passionate they are about cricket and to see the connection they all have to Dad. And it's something I never do, but like when they would say, "Oh, they'd see Warne 23, you cricketer," I go, no. I'll tap my phone and I'll do this. And I'd show them this, and then all of a sudden they just like teary-eyed, told me their Shane Warne story, wanted to hug me, wanted to get a photo because they just love Dad. But I saw you went to the Rajasthan Royals as well last year when you were filming Sapphire. Yeah. Were you a bit... you got the shirt, but were you a bit shattered it wasn't Sheeran and it was Warne 23?
No, I was so honoured.
So honoured,
yeah. I have nothing to do with cricket. I'm not going, why do I need my name on a cricket shirt? Yeah. No, I love that you're doing this as well, because I find that sometimes like grief is a really odd thing, because it's so intense at the time that the person close to you passes away, but it's sort of like the world then just keeps spinning and you want everyone to keep talking about it. And that's why I think that this is important, because it just keeps stories and memories alive, for everyone. Yeah. And, this is the first time I've really spoken about it. And I think it's a really nice thing to share nice Shane stories, Oh,
well, thank you so much, Ed, because I know with this was going to be something me and Dad would start together. Yeah. And he wanted to call it Warne's World, and I thought it was awesome, but it never came to be. And then, after he passed, that idea of starting a podcast sort of went away. But then as I was doing more talking about Dad on camera and just honouring him, and I actually found it gave me a lot of strength talking about him more, even though I'm talking about something that is so emotional to me or so sad to me. I found I was actually drawing a lot of strength from it.
But that's because I think it's all positive, lovely stories, and I think that like once you kind of get over the heavy emotion of it, like he wasn't a sad guy. He wasn't like he was a really upbeat, cheery, bubbly bloke, and he should be remembered like that. You know, like it is intensely sad, but then there's also like this like whirlwind of a bloke that people just, I don't know, loved.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because it's something that I thought I was the only one going through. Like, I've just lost my dad, but then it's like, hang on, my sisters have also lost them. My grandparents have lost their son. People have lost their best mate. And I'm also not the only one that's lost a dad. But then when I'd also go to social media or on the internet or out in public, everybody misses Dad. And it's so nice, especially going to the MCG at things like Boxing Day or even for St Kilda matches, and just seeing the Shane Warne stand filled, because I know Dad would be so happy with that. Yeah. And I know when you performed there in 2023, you did a nice toast to me, Brooke and Summer, and said, you know, thank you guys.
Yeah.
And
it was, do you know what? I found it so sad that Michael and Shane weren't there, and it was weird. It was on, the gigs were on the anniversaries as well. It was a year from your dad, and it was 2 years from Michael, but it felt like, I don't know, it was amazing looking at that stand, to be honest, and playing that show. It's an amazing venue, that. But yeah, weird old time.
It is a weird old time. Do you have any tips or anything you do to sort of battle grief?
Talking about it. Don't bury it. Don't bury it. Talk about it and allow yourself to be sad sometimes, because that's respectful. You know, allow yourself to feel emotion and show emotion. And also, like, it's not a fix. It's not a like, oh, I'm over it. Like, it's not like grief. Grief is someone described it to me as it's a book on a bookshelf that you can go and take off the bookshelf whenever you want, and the bookshelf will eventually fill with other books. But it is always there, and it's always there for you to kind of like go into. It's never something you should bury.
That's a great perspective to have, because I know, like, personally, I used to have so many. If I had problems or issues that I was angry or sad about, I would never, ever actually acknowledge it or deal with it. I'd just bury it, and hopefully one day it'd go away. But especially since Dad's passing, actually bringing those things to the surface and turning them into action, either through exercise or through conversations, has actually helped me out so much.
And also, like, I find stories, like, I love hearing stories about your dad from other people, because it does, you understand him differently, hearing stories that you would never have like heard, I guess. Like, so I think just always keeping in contact with people that love them and be reminded of lovely stories about them, I think.
I completely agree, because what's nice hearing about all of the Shane Warne stories is all the things they've got in common. He was trying to make everybody laugh. He was always being really polite. He was just always being himself, and I think that's what makes other people realize, oh, he was, you know, just like us.
Yeah.
He was just a normal
man. He was
man.
probably the most just like us bloke. Like, he definitely, like, whenever he hung out with my mates, it was like he was one of us, even though he was Shane Warne, you know, like, he would come and have a beer with the boys in a pub completely normally, and it was like we went to school with him. You know.
Well, talking about pubs, I reckon you have probably the coolest pub, because some people on their properties, they've got a man cave. For example, I've got a Lego room, but you have an actual pub, and it's called the Lancaster Lock, off your wife's name, Cherry's maiden name, and your mum's, Imogen's, maiden name.
Yeah.
I think that is so cool.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I wanted to, do you know what, there was this barn that I had on the land, and it had an old bit of wood in it, so they were like, you can't do anything with it. And I applied for planning permission to basically turn it into something. And we kept the beam and basically built it up. And I was like, what could be in here? And I find that, you know, camera phones are like everywhere. And I find if you're going to be in a pub and let loose with your mates, at some point someone's going to film you being drunk and whatever. And I think having a space where it's not just, you know, my mates will come over, we'll watch the football in there, we'll do barbecues like once a week. It will be, we have like a wig box, so we put on wigs and put on music and dance around. It's like it's a good place to just let loose. And yeah, it's a fun old spot. But to be honest, I haven't really been at home. We've been on the road for quite a while. I've been living in America, so I'm looking forward to getting back and like digging into it a bit more.
Yeah, and has it turned into a memorabilia cave as well, where you've just got all of your movie props?
Yeah, your dad actually gave me a bat for there, so I got a bat in there. And yeah, it's kind of all the memorabilia. Yeah, all the memorabilia over the years. Like there's random stuff. Like I went to go and play for the troops in Afghanistan 13 years ago, and they gave me like a helmet. So I've got that helmet there with my dog tags and stuff. I did a song for Sons of Anarchy, and I asked for a jacket, so I've got a Sons of Anarchy jacket. It's all stuff like that. Your dad gave me a bat. I've got like boxing gloves from Tyson Fury. Like when you travel the world, you just sort of amass things. But no, the movie props are more like dotted about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to slow down on the movie props. I'm getting a bit too deep with them.
Yeah, well, there is a movie prop which I'm pretty sure he gave to you, but Chris Hemsworth, Thor, he gave you Thor's hammer.
He did, yeah.
I actually have a very funny connection with Chris and Dad. I'm not sure if you know this, but back in 2018, Dad was in talks with people from Hollywood to do a movie about his 2008 year of Rajasthan Royals, because that year and the story behind it, Dad was the oldest in the competition and in the team. He had just retired. He said he was never going to play again, but he was captain of the youngest and cheapest team. He was also the coach. They lost the first few games, but then they went on to actually win the championship. And that team's never won it since. But when Dad was asked, who would you like to play yourself in the movie? He's like, it's got to be Chris Hemsworth, doesn't it? That's who I want to play as Shane.
So why aren't you doing it?
Am I doing it?
No,
it's Chris.
Yeah.
The movie.
Make it happen.
I know.
That's a great movie.
I know. It has such a cool story, but how do you think it would go seeing Chris play his dad in that movie? Do you think it's something he would do even?
I think Chris would do it. I think Chris is too tall.
Too tall, yeah.
I think Chris is too tall.
I think that's why Dad wanted him, to make himself look a bit taller, a bit more ripped.
No, I think Chris would do it. You should make that happen. That's a good movie.
It's a really cool concept.
Have you scripted it?
The script, everything was ready. There was just a few things that was in the script that was a bit too Hollywood, which Dad didn't like in between overs, going to the change rooms and doing some stuff and then coming back out, that Dad wasn't really... It's like, that just doesn't happen in cricket. Come on, mate. But they're like, no, but it's Hollywood. We've got to make it a movie.
Right. No, you need to make it real.
Yeah. It's a really cool idea.
Can we make that happen?
I would love to see it happen. If you've got some magic powers, if it's okay with Brooke and Summer, would you...
Have you got the script?
I haven't got it. Have you got it?
It'd be somewhere in the database. Would definitely be. We've still got all of his phones, and
if you're down to make that happen, I'm down to chase that down.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Ed.
That's a great fucking movie.
It's a really cool concept, because I know he was working on it for a few years, and then he'd go to LA to write the scripts and come back, and he just said, this is going to be the coolest movie ever. Because have you seen Moneyball with Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
It's something similar to that. So like, that is just it's about 1 year of the sport, and Dad wanted to do something like that with obviously him. And
well, this is what I think's good. Like, sometimes you watch movies, and when it's like a biopic, it sometimes feels formulaic, but I love when it's like a snapshot. There's a what's the movie? It's about Brian Clough at Nottingham Forest and Leeds. What's it called? The Damned United. Have you seen that?
No.
It's like, but that's based over a season, and it's really great. It's not like a long period of time and blah blah. It's just really, really intense season. You should watch that. That's a really great sports movie.
Yeah.
If you're down, I'm down. I'm down to chase that down.
Yeah.
Like,
well, thank you, Ed.
I think that's a great movie.
Yeah, I just know Dad would have been so happy for something like that to come to life. And
yeah, the doco was amazing as well. Like, that was a really, really great doco. Cherry bought me his book as well for my birthday, which was
thank
awesome.
you.
But no, a movie, that's a really great idea.
Yeah.
We'd be happy if Chris Hemsworth played him.
Yeah, we'll have to try and make
I mean,
it happen.
Chris might not be down, but
Yeah.
Yeah, we can prosthetic him up, you know.
Yeah, we'll find a way. How did that happen with Chris? Because I know did you first meet him when he was filming his National Geographic to come on stage and learn the drums?
It was different. I first met Chris on like Sunrise or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, I was playing on Sunrise in like 2014. I think he was promoting Rush, I think.
Oh yeah, the F1.
Yeah,
with Niki Lauda.
I think. Anyway, I met him a long time ago, and then I I was playing in Brisbane, and we were staying in Byron Bay. This was like 2023.
Yeah.
And I just got a message from Denise, who works for Frontier and Mushroom. She was just like, "Do you want to go and have a beer with Chris?" So I went up to his house with my wife and kids, and his wife and kids were there, and his mates and his brothers and blah blah blah. And we just sort of linked then, and then our friendship was like solidified. It was my birthday in Brisbane. And I got a party bus back to Byron with him and his brothers and my mates. And it was a loose bus. Yeah. It was a loose bus. But that was like when I was, like you have a night with someone and you're like, I think we're gonna get on. And then whenever he was shooting Thor or Avengers in the UK, and he came and stayed at my house. My daughter, so he came to stay at the house, and he read her a bedtime story, and I went in to read her the last bedtime story, and she went, "Daddy, who was that beautiful man?"
That is very good. You're like, "Oh, that's just the God of Thunder." No
yeah,
biggie.
exactly. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah, he's he's great. I think he'd be good. He is a bit too tall though.
He is, isn't he? He's a bit too tall. The other option that Dad suggested was actually Leonardo DiCaprio. Those were the two. So I think Dad was aiming for the stars.
I think Chris would be good.
Yeah.
I think Chris would be good. I mean, that would be a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
That's an Australian classic movie.
I hope so.
Yeah. Find the script.
I'll have to find the script and get it over to you, because it definitely would be somewhere in his database. We've still got everything.
Yeah, I have a mate that's in that, who could definitely if you guys are down for me chasing that down, I'm down to chase that down.
Oh, thank you. That would be awesome. And what about his hammer? Is the hammer down at
the hammer
pub?
the hammer's in the pub, and it gets wielded every now and then. Yeah, there's.
So you are worthy. You're worthy to pick it up.
Do you know what the weirdest one?
It is really heavy.
I swapped guitars for when Ipswich were in the Premier League for match-worn shirts of players, and there was just a stack of shirts in the pub, and Erling Haaland's shirt was number one. The amount of people that would come round and be like, "Can I smell that?"
Yeah, that is so
fucking
good.
mad.
Yeah,
It has a certain
smell to it.
Certain aroma, yeah.
Wow.
Certain aroma.
Well, one thing actually that me, you, and Dad have in common is we were both on the front cover of a Men's Health magazine. Me and Dad were on the front cover for a father-son piece, and he had just recently released his gin, and it was more on the healthy side, so he was there promoting that. But you were there for your amazing fitness journey and getting super fit.
Yeah.
How was that? Because I also love the gym, so I know how hard it is to be disciplined and consistent.
Yeah. Do you know, it kind of happened by accident. I got a trainer on the road, which I'd never had before, and I went sober for January, and then that sort of extended. And I don't know, by February, I started seeing these two little abs, and I joked with the trainer. I was like, "Oh, we should do a Men's Health cover," and we sort of joked about it. Because I have never, ever, ever seen myself as that kind of bloke. And then sort of middle of the summer, we were like, should we just do it? And then, contacted Men's Health. They seemed keen. I'd say the last 6 weeks were the least enjoyable. That's when you're like...
low on energy and...
Not even that, because my thing was like I didn't want to ever not eat properly. So I eat the way that I eat. I just wasn't drinking, which for me is a lot of calories lost, because I love a beer.
So you're in a deficit just by not drinking.
Yeah. But towards the end, the last week, I would do a workout, and then I would go on an uphill treadmill for 3 hours a day to just sweat.
Wow. Yeah.
So that was like the least enjoyable bit. But I'd say the 2 months after that Men's Health shoot were probably the most beer that I've drunk.
Yeah.
And it didn't really, but the thing is, I think once you're in shape, you can kind of get away with it.
Yeah, you can.
I don't think I ballooned in any way.
You can definitely maintain it. It's the hardest thing is doing something like that once, and if you're going to do it, really do it properly.
Yeah.
Because then when you come out of it, your body's used to it, your body's done it, and then you just want to try and maintain that.
Yeah.
It's
your dad never had a six pack though, did he?
No, we didn't. He never had a six pack. He got fit one season for the cricket. But he was always on and off with these funny diets, with like doing the juice diets.
Yeah, I remember he tried to get me on one of those juice diets once.
Yeah, he's just, I don't know. He liked, obviously smoking helps with appetite and stress, but he just found anytime he was going on a diet, he'd just be smoking way more because that was to help him not eat.
Yeah.
So he was like, I don't think I'm actually doing anything healthy here because I'm smoking more even though I'm eating less, but...
Yeah, my sort of like life hack for it was just rice. I just eat a lot of rice now. So like instead of like, I don't know, I used to eat a lot of bread, a lot of pasta, a lot of, and then I just stopped that and eat way more rice. And I don't know, that seems to work for me.
So do you still now follow a diet of when you're on the road, or is it just
ish? I mean, it's like, it's very difficult when you're in amazing food places like Melbourne not to be like, I went out to Flower Drum last night with Michael's family, and you're not going to not eat and drink there. No, but I work out I work out every day. And I do a lot of like, have you done Reformer Pilates?
I've tried it. My girlfriends and sisters do it, but it's tough, isn't it?
I did it this morning, and it's like, I think people assume that it's calm.
Yeah.
And it's way worse than a weight session. I'm ache after you do it to like failure every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do a lot of that. We have like a foldable Reformer Pilates bed that we bring on the road, and I find that's like, it's good. It's good.
Cool.
But I do like some days I run, some days I do weights, some days I do like arms and legs, some days I do Reformer Pilates, some days I swim. I just make sure I'm active.
Always moving your body.
Always, yeah. And not for long. The session this morning was like 30 minutes, and then
it's
then
really
you're done.
intense.
Yeah. I just make sure I do it every day.
Yeah. Oh, well done. Because apart from all the fitness journeys and Dad and Michael, there's two things in common that I share with you that we both absolutely love. First one is Lego, and the second one is Pokemon.
Fuck yeah.
Where did your love for Pokemon first start?
With my brother. We weren't like the most popular kids at school, and I found that we found like refuge within each other at home, and he had blue, I had yellow.
Nice.
And we'd capture Pokemon and trade and blah blah blah, and that's where the love came from. And I carried it on, like when I was like 21, 22, spent a lot of time in a plane. You fly over to Australia, it's like 27 hours. I would play Pokemon, and and that sort of carried on. And then I met the people from Pokemon in Japan, and we've just formed this relationship where we like. Do you know what? It happened. They asked me to do something for Fortnite, my record label, and I was like, I don't play Fortnite, so it wouldn't be a. I feel like whenever you see my face near any product,
you want it to be something.
I want it to be something that I actually do. So like, ketchup. I fucking love ketchup. Guitars. I play the guitars I play. I'm the reason I'm here today is I'm launching a speaker with a company called Orange that I've used Orange amps for years and years and years, and I think that it has to be real. And so when my record company were like, "Oh, we can put you in a Fortnite game," I was like, don't really want to do that, but I do play Pokemon.
Yeah.
And so we contacted Pokemon, and that's why we did the song for the thing, and blah blah blah. So yeah, I love Pokemon. I feel like I'm a bit of a not a snob when it comes to Pokemon, but I love
the older gen.
Yeah. Now it's too many
snob.
Pokemon. I'm like, I don't know if I can catch them all.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. Well, there's over 1,000 now. Back in the day, there'd be around 151.
Yeah, I think silver and gold and crystal.
So the first two gens.
Yeah, although I did like ruby and sapphire.
Yeah, for me, I played I still every year buy them and play them.
Yeah, but are you gonna get winds?
The winds. I saw the winds and wave. It looks pretty nice. But do you remember your starter on yellow?
I would always be Pikachu. Yeah.
Always Pikachu.
Yeah.
What about like a ruby and sapphire?
I can't really remember. I actually can't remember the starters on ruby and sapphire. I remember
Torchic, Mudkip, Trico.
Maybe it's Torchic. I'd usually go for Totodile on
silver.
So
the water, silver.
I fucking love Totodile, and I'd never evolve him. I'd always have him.
You'd keep him as Totodile.
Yeah. Because I love the fact of him being like, a
crocodile sort of thing.
Yeah, and just fucking people up with surf.
That is so good. Oh, that is awesome. And what about Lego?
Lego, I find Lego is a way to like switch off. So I still do. It's more difficult now with kids. I mean, I make little kits with my kids now, but the big kits, like, you really have to like put away time to do it. And I'm like, if I'm home, I'm like, I'm not gonna go and sit on my own for an hour to do Lego. I'm gonna be, with the kids and stuff. But yeah, I got given the big Millennium Falcon. That would have been the last one I did, but that was like 5 years ago I've done that. So I haven't really done it in a while. I really want to do the Titanic.
You want to do the Titanic?
Yeah, the Titanic looks good. And I think, what else? The Friends Cafe. I think that would be fun.
What about the new Lego Pokemon? Have you seen them?
I did see them, yeah.
Do you like them?
That does look good.
Oh, good.
I don't know.
Anything Lego.
I need to wait for my kids to get a little bit older and then I can do the big kits with them. But I can't justify closing myself in a room and do it. Especially like if I'm in the studio in the day and I come home at 4 p.m, I'm not going to be like, I need my Lego time.
Yeah, okay. That's very fair enough because I know my 21st birthday present, Dad bought me the Lego Millennium Falcon, the big one.
Big, innit?
It's massive. I still haven't built it though because I'm waiting for the perfect place to display. I'm always moving in and out of houses, but I've finally built my Lego room and that's the next thing for me to build.
Yeah.
So I'll let you know how I've got the Titanic.
You could put it in a Perspex box and hang it from the ceiling.
I have seen those.
Yeah.
And you think it'd be safe though?
Yeah.
I get very paranoid.
I think
even
it'd be
Kaya's
fine.
not allowed to touch it. That's how paranoid I get with it.
Picking it up, bits would fall off it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem with the big ones.
Yeah.
You just miss, you get bits missing and
It gets a bit dodgy. Well, before we wrap up, I would love Brooke to give me a bit of context. Cause no, not yet. Don't get too excited. I have told the story before on my podcast and I've gotten it wrong probably a few times and Brooke's corrected me. But if you remember, do you remember the very first time you met Dad?
Yep. It was 2014.
Yes.
I was over to do the grand final with Tom Jones and I'd arrived and I went in my room and I knew that Shane was staying in the hotel. Someone said Shane's in the hotel at the time. And I can't remember, did he knock on my door or did I knock on your door?
No, we saw your security guard in the lift. Being
Ah.
a bit of a smart aleck. I was like, oh, so who are you looking after tonight? And he said, Ed Sheeran. And I was like, oh my God, Dad, you know the 18? He's like, oh yeah, I think so. And he said, oh, do you want me to bring him up to your room? And I was like, yeah. Dad's like, he's not going to do that. And then you came to our
Yeah.
room, you knocked on
I remember knocking on the door.
Right, I slammed the door in your face. I was like, oh my God. Ed Sheeran's at the door. He goes, oh, open the door. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, but even that, you know, like that was the first time I met your dad, and I had two of my schoolmates had moved to Melbourne to, I don't even know what they were doing. They were there. they were in Melbourne, and your dad was like, "Oh, do you and your mates want to come out tonight?" We went for a meal with your dad, and he took us to the club. Club 23, yeah. And you know, also like for them, that was like a amazing thing. But yeah, no, that was the first time we met, and I think we hung out a couple more times on that trip. I think I was in Vegas maybe a month afterwards. He was there. He was always where I was somehow. He was always like around the world, and he was like a very after he passed, like I just kept finding when I went through a lawsuit and I had to go through all my old like text messages and emails, and like we were probably in contact almost as much as like me and a girlfriend, you know. We spoke like every single day. And it was kind of mad to look back on it, and it was just like weird things, you know, like I've seen this movie, or have you heard this band, or how you doing, and like
Now you guys had such a great relationship. Well, before we finish, I've got 3 photos I want to show you, and I want to see if you can either give some context behind them or if you remember the story behind them. But it's photos of you and Dad, and I just want to see if you remember them. This is the first photo. This might have been about the bat you were talking about.
Yeah, that was 2015.
Yep.
That was at Rod Laver. And that was when I said your dad came in and met everyone in catering. Your dad came down to the Rod Laver when I was playing. Would have been like April or May 2015. Sorry, there's a car outside. April or May 2015. And I said to him, "Can you do me a bat for the pub?"
Yeah.
And so and he brought down the bat. Do you remember that
gig?
gig?
So cool.
Yeah,
it is so cool. The second photo is this one. Photo?
Yeah, so that was the Lord's Day with my mates.
Yep.
2019.
After the net session.
And we went out, and I'm pretty sure the World Cup final was like the day after that.
Yeah, that 2019 in England had the Ashes and the World Cup final.
Yeah.
I'm like pretty like 99% sure.
Stokes did the fucking
the best innings of all time.
Yeah.
Good memory.
Yeah.
So cool.
But no, we went out. I remember that day we probably had 10 pints together in the space of like an hour, and I had to go home for a tactical nap before hanging later. Yeah.
Oh, that is great. And last photo, and this is probably the funniest photo I've ever seen with you and involving Dad, because when it was first going around online, I remember showing Dad going, "Have you seen this photo?" And he went, "Oh my God, what is that?" And it's this photo. Do you remember this photo?
Yeah.
Do you remember this photo?
I remember that photo. I actually got in contact. So that is a bong of your dad's face.
Yeah.
That Tony Harlow, who ran Warner Records, bought me as a gift. So I came traveling here with Cherry in 2016, and I've actually smoked out of that.
Have you?
Yeah,
that is so cool.
But I then contacted the guy. So we hung out with your dad, with my Benny Blanco, who made Divide with me and blah blah blah. And I contacted the guy that made that bong and made a bong of Benny's head for Benny. So
really?
and I got 4 bongs made. I've got I got one at home. But that's actually a funny story. But we were hanging with Benny. And your dad was a member of a private members club in London, and we went out to a cricket game with Benny and his dad, and your dad was like, "I'll come to this private members club afterwards." So anyway, he turned up at this private members club with me to get in with your dad, and like they let me in, but Benny wasn't wearing shoes.
Oh no!
So they were just like, "He can't come in," and your dad had to do some like fandangling or whatever, and eventually got Benny. Maybe we bought him a pair of shoes or something like that.
Yeah.
But your dad, I remember he was just like, "Who doesn't wear shoes?"
Yeah. Oh, what a good story. Well, before we wrap up, Ed, thank you so much for coming on.
Mate, thank you. It's been great. Really great.
I have a few gifts for you. The first gift is from me and my family. It's a jersey that Dad used to wear. Of course. It's a jersey that Dad used to wear with a Warne 23 on the back.
Oh, man.
From 1999, 2000.
Wow.
So they've been kept in these little plastic bags. All these my mum used to ride on, and my dad used to ride on.
This is incredible.
So this is,
Yeah. And I've got photos of the exact game that he was wearing it too.
Wow.
So it's got a Warne 23.
Mate, thank you. Thank you. You're gonna make me emotional now. Thank you.
of course.
That's
also,
right.
that 2015 gig was when you gave me the guitar.
Yeah. Oh, that was the swap. I remember. Yeah.
And on the
That's
and
mate.
on the
Thank you,
back,
man.
That's all right.
Dad wrote "Be nice" to your dad on it, and you signed the front. Like, "Please play this guitar." Still got it.
Did you play it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very well.
That is so good.
Mate, that's so sweet. Thank you.
No,
Wow.
no worries.
Wow.
No, that's okay. And I've got one more last gift because we
Hey, let's
obviously love
go.
Lego and we love Pokemon. So I've got the
Oh
brand new. This
my
is from me and
God.
my friends at Lego Australia. We've got all of the new brand new
Whoa.
Lego Pokemon sets.
Oh my gosh.
Kai, bring that one in closer.
Look at that.
Yeah, so that's Eevee.
Oh,
That one's that's
that was the one I was looking at.
yeah,
I was
that's the
gonna get
big
this
and heavy
yeah.
one.
Whoa.
Yeah, show- it's huge.
That
It's
is cool.
It's a thank you for coming on the podcast.
Mate,
thank
thank
you for
you.
being a legend to our whole family and a late happy birthday present too.
Thank you very much.
So-
I'm very, very excited. For
No,
that. Thank
that's
you.
all right.
Also, this is like incredible. Thank you.
No, no
I
worries.
really, really appreciate you having me on as well. And if you're down for that movie, I'm up for
Yeah.
making that happen.
We'll make it happen.
I don't think that's going to be a hard sell, by the way. I think that's getting made quite quickly.
Awesome.
great.
All right. Well, Ed,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.